Hi, it's Dr. Manny from Break the Cage MD. I wanted to revisit the hero's journey. Last week, I discussed a comparison of the hero's journey as opposed to the four horsemen and how that affects your thought process. Um, I got to thinking, I'm like, how is it that something as simple as a story is able to change the outcome of a situation so much? Well, the way it works is that your brain runs on stories. If you happen, and whatever story happens to be the most accessible story, you kind of collapse into this state of, okay, that's what's going to happen to me. So if you have the four horsemen telling you a victim story, a criticism story, a perfectionist story, then you end up believing that because your brain, that's the most accessible thing in your brain. If instead you loaded your brain up with a story that's aligned with your core values, your own mythos, then when the challenge comes up, as much as the fear comes up, you're able to pull up either courage or compassion, your higher order emotions, because right on hand, you have that story and you're like, okay, this is another opportunity to act. The evidence for that for other geeks, like other med geeks, and I know how you like data, there's two aspects to this. Implicational working memory and propositional working memory are the two working memories that you use to represent reality. When you're using propositional working memory, you're relying mainly on your words. It's when the words make enough sense and you identify with them that they cross over into your implicational working memory. But if you want to do top down thinking, you start off with your implicational working memory, which means you start off with your mythos, your myths, your metaphors, your themes, the stories from throughout life that allow you to transcend, because the implication of working memory, that takes a lot of accumulating ground level information and you may or may not cross the gap. Okay, so that's one aspect of it. Now I was digging into some of the transactional analysis information because that's where a lot of the power dynamic stuff lives. So it turns out that when you're at a stressful moment in life, a crisis, usually an identity crisis where you're up against something you haven't faced before, you have a decision to make. You have to decide whether you're going to go on the hero's journey and fight through it, or whether you're going to turn back and run back home. When you run back home, you end up with that burnout feeling because you haven't taken that next step. And that next step in your unconscious mind is going to continue to haunt you. You've got to take that step at some point. And the way to take that step is that at different stages during adolescence, people, when it's time to cross that threshold, they grab a role model. They grab a myth. It might be your favorite musician, your favorite cook, your favorite kung fu artist, just someone that you see that has the traits that you admire. Usually, this is because you feel as if maybe you didn't get certain needs met within your core household, your core upbringing, or even maybe like just the social dynamics in medical training. If you're not feeling that the person who's responsible for your learning process is a nurturing person, it may be that you need to reach out and find a role model, a coach, a mentor elsewhere. That's how we break the cage. All right, break the cage, MD.